Hi folks, today I'm going to show you a very basic work pattern that you're going to be repeating and learning in order to edit your web pages. And we're going to use it today, but we're also going to be using it over and over again. And this is eventually going to become so routine you won't even have to think about it. I'm going to call this the loop. And I'm going to walk through the steps for you, and then I'll show you. I'll do a demo. So you can save this video and come back to it if you get confused. When we're making any changes to our files in class, though, you're going to be making these same 5 steps over and over and over again. So they are: 1, we're going to open the file we want to edit or create, if we're doing it for the first time, in a text editor. And I'll show you an example of a text editor that I use when we walk through the samples. Depending on which machine platform you're using, Windows or Mac, you will have a couple of different choices to make. We'll talk about those choices as well, but a simple text editor is all you need. You then make the changes that you want to make to the file by editing the file, and those can be simple changes, fixing a problem, or quite extensive changes, writing a whole new section. We then save the file just like you normally would if you were working in Microsoft Word or in some other program to your local drive, meaning the computer that you're working on. That way you have a copy there, and the next step is we upload it to the web server. It's good to get in the habit of doing those 2 steps, 3 and 4, because if you are constantly saving to the server directly and you overwrite the changes to that version with an accidental change, then you have no way to recover. So if you save the file to the local drive and then upload, you always have a local version that matches the remote version. And finally, in order to see the changes live on the web, you have to go back to your browser, hit the refresh button or reload, and the browser will ask the server for a new copy of that file, and you can see the one that you just edited and changed. This is where a lot of people get hung up. They'll make an editorial change, they will save it, they'll upload it even, and then they'll go back to their browser and look, and nothing will have changed. And that's because you're seeing the old version, so you have to hit refresh to do that. So let's watch that sequence in action now. Okay, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. In this case, you're looking at our course homepage, and the file that I'm going to edit is our sample project page. So I'm going to get a contextual menu by hitting Control-click or right-clicking, and I'm going to choose Save Link. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one. Save Link As, and it's going to bring up a save menu. It's going to call this project sample.html. That'll be okay. And save it to my desktop. Now I'm going to open this in a program that I use and that we have in the instructional labs where we'll be working if you're working on a Mac, called Text Wrangler. There are some other options you have too. I have a software program called BB Edit that I use, but I'm going to use Text Wrangler because I think some of you will be using it. If you're working on a Windows machine, you might be working on a piece of software called Notepad++. Very simple text editor. So I'm opening the file in our text editor. That's step 1, right? And it's already loaded in here. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Now what we're seeing in this window is the file that I want to edit. I'm going to go ahead and change just one thing, the header, to my name. I'll take out the exclamation point, be a little more reserved. I'm also going to change the sample project page title to Bill's project page. So these are the 2 changes that we should see now. Alright, so that's all the edits I'll make for this demo. And I'm going to go to my file menu and hit save, and just save that local copy. Alright, so I've done steps 1, 2, and 3. I've opened the file, I've made the edits, and I've saved a local copy. And now I'm going to FTP this to my remote drive. So this is the step that usually trips people up, because in some cases you're using a different piece of software, and I'm going to actually show you how to use an FTP piece of FTP software to do this, so that you can understand how that works, and then we can go back and I'll show you a different way as well. I'm going to choose a piece of FTP software called CyberDuck. This is also available to those of you who are using Macs. There are many FTP programs out there, many free ones, and they all work essentially the same. When you launch, notice that nothing changed on my window right away, and I have a screen here that looks relatively blank. That's because I don't have a connection to any remote server yet. So one of the things I have to do is choose to open a connection. And when I do that, it's going to prompt me for a server address. This looks a little like a web URL, except it's asking for an FTP address, which is a slightly different syntax. So when you're sending things to your AFS space, your web-hosted resource from MSU, we're always going to use the same address. So this one will apply to you as well if you're at MSU, afs.msu.edu. Then I'm going to log in with my MSUNet ID and password, and I'm going to keep that anonymous, or keep that blank so that folks don't see my password, but it's going to go ahead and send that, and it's going to connect. Alright, so now you see this screen populate, and I see the directories that are inside my AFS space. Here's that familiar web directory. I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to open it up. I have lots of files in my web directory, but in this case I am just going to ignore all of that and do a relatively simple action that you can do as well, which is I'm going to make the window a little smaller. I'm going to take the file that I edited locally, projectsample.html. I'm going to drag it into the window, and it will upload it for me. It's telling me, are you sure you want to do it? I am. And now it has uploaded it. Good. Now in this case I can go back and find where it is, and here's where it lives. So now inside my web directory there will be a file called projectsample.html. So let's go see if we can find that. In order to do that, I have to go back one level in the directory. So that's my web folder, and now projectsample.html, and there it is. Now you might be wondering why it looks that way. Well, because I have a style sheet connected to my version of this that you don't have. But if I did, it would still look this way. So now I'm going to show you a different way to replace this version that doesn't use CyberDuck. What I'm going to do now is go back to my editor, Text Wrangler. And this is the version that I just edited, you'll recall. And now instead of choosing Save As and saving it locally, I'm actually going to choose a different option that you see here, Save to FTP Server. This is actually going to save it and then remotely transfer it at the same time. It's two steps at once. So if I choose that, it's going to prompt me to make this connection, which I've actually preloaded here, but you can see it's the same server, same credentials. And I'll hit connect. And now instead of saving it in my web directory, I'm saving it in the folder where the other file was, which is WA. I have created a special WA folder for all the stuff that's associated with this class. And now what I'm going to do is overwrite the existing version of the file. I'll show you what I mean. There's a version of this file already there, projectsample.html, that I uploaded at 6:12 p.m. on January 7th. That's the one that I clicked right before I started the video here. If I hit save, what it's going to do is prompt me to overwrite that file. So this is the issue I was talking about before. The reason we want to always save a local version before uploading a version is that when you upload one, you're going to overwrite the live version that's out on the web, and if you make a mistake, there's really no way to get that back. So you want to be very sure you want to do that. But in this case, we're okay. So I'm going to hit overwrite. And now, when I go back here, instead of putting in a new URL, I've just overwritten this file, right? I've made a change to it. So I'm going to hit refresh, and you should see the your name change. And it did. Another thing that changed that was less obvious was the title element, which is up here. So it used to say sample project page, and now it says Bill's project page. Okay, so just to go back to our steps so that we remember them again, here's what we did. We opened the file in a text editor, we edited the file, we saved it to our local drive, and then we used two different methods to upload it to the web server. One used a different piece of FTP software, and the other used our editor directly. Now the reason to use FTP software and know how to do that is because if you want to put a separate file there, like an image file, your editor won't be able to do that. You will need to use a piece of FTP software to do it. If you're going to upload your module 1 file, which is a Word file, you'll need to use FTP software to do that. Then, once we get the file there and we confirm that it's on the server, we can go back to the browser, hit refresh, and see the changes that we made. And that is the loop. We're going to be doing it a lot. So practice it, get used to that routine. Pretty soon it will be second nature, but it's always useful to come back and practice.